Don't watch the sales grow. Empowered to win with eRank we flow.
Hello, eRank. Welcome
Happy
to
Thursday,
another
everyone.
Thursday. Yay. Starla's cried off because for some bizarre reason she's exhausted. I have no idea what that would be about, but that's great because that means I'm joined by Bryan today. So yeah, we can continue this conversation. We had a great conversation last week about what to do for the holidays, and Bryan can give us a totally different perspective because he has a ridiculously massive shop. So he can tell us from the point of view of a really successful person who's done a few big Christmases on Etsy holidays. I'm a UK
and
person.
they get crazy, so that'll be some
Yeah.
fun things to talk about.
Exactly. Yeah, Amy, Starla's a rock star. She should get some rest. Yep. But before we dive into that, and feel free to give us your tips and questions about Christmas. There's a couple holidays. I'm from the UK. I'm going to keep saying Christmas. Sorry.
That is like, even though there are other holidays, there's Hanukkah and Diwali are in around that same time. Those aren't big shopping days, and that's why Christmas is the one that we all talk about. Just because, like, I'm Jewish and I still celebrate Christmas because that's the big one. That's the one that everyone has the joy and all the presents and everything, and that's the bigger shopping time as opposed to the other holidays that are there, except for Halloween, which is first.
Yes, that's the biggest and the most important holiday of them all from our very warped point of view.
It sure is.
I know. I'm looking in my wardrobe now and I'm going like, I can start pulling out the Halloween clothes now, can't I? Absolutely.
Love it.
But
And it's actually
before-
on a Friday this year for those who
Ooh.
celebrate. So
Excellent. That sounds good. Yeah, my friend runs a club and Halloween is always our big night. And the last time it was on, the club's on a Saturday. The last time Halloween was on a Saturday, something happened and we couldn't have the club. I think it can't have been the global unpleasantness of 2020 because, well, it might have been. I'm trying to figure out if that would have been, yeah, because we've had a leap year. So it probably was. Yeah. We had it for Saturday and nope. Anyway.
And Kat,
you.
Halloween clothes do not go away. They're permanent. My walls are permanently black.
Mhm.
Halloween is forever, but that doesn't mean that you can't have a nice, turn the Halloween tree into a Christmas tree at some point.
Yeah. But for these videos, I'm always checking going, maybe that summer top looks a little bit like it's got a pentagram on it, so it might not be good for eRank or something. Or you've got strange shapes that's only going to see the top half. So yeah, gotta be careful. But I think I can get away with it afterwards. Yeah, absolutely. Christmas tree with a sheet over it.
Yeah,
I think that's the best tip. Yeah. Just quickly before we get into the holidays, though, there's a couple of little things about the Etsy's listing title tool thingy that it's done. We said that that's the fella. Yep. We said that eRank was going to be reaching out to Etsy for some clarifications on some things, and we did get a reply from them. We didn't get all our questions answered, probably because we're cheeky and we asked everything, so we didn't expect everything answered. Quite a lot of it was just reiterating, it was just legal speak that says the same without saying much. But what is your drinking utensil this time? Oh, that is brilliant. I just finished Wednesday this week.
That's Sue last night. No spoilers, but it was great.
No spoilers. Yep. So one thing we did specifically ask them that I was so happy that Etsy actually answered. We asked them, is there any penalty to your listing if Etsy give you the warning that your title needs changed? We asked, is there any penalty if you don't change it? And they said, no, there is no penalty to your listing. I think they said there's no penalty to your listing at present. So that means they're leaving the door open that they might in the future, but certainly there isn't just now. the AI. Any of the tools are optional. You can leave your listing as it is. You can manually change it yourself, or you can use the AI tools. That was
That came after a lot of concern of people changing their titles, just listening to the AI, changing 1,500 listings at once, and then seeing what Etsy's AI kind of thought their product was, and it wasn't great. And that's why we asked those questions to Etsy, and it's great to know that nothing is actually changing. Nothing has changed. You do not need to change your titles. If you do want to look at your titles and make them nicer, make them less confusing, more appealing to the customer, go for it. But you do not have to. So just want to put that out there. You do not have to.
And I wanted to share a little thing that the team have done, the team at eRank have done to help you. Be aware, we're seeing problems, some people at the team saw an issue here and have come up with this. This is a quick patch. If you like this, we might be able to improve it even more. But what we noticed was when you actually go in to edit one of your titles here. So here you see the AI suggestion and you see your original title. But when you hit to edit it, your original title is missing. So what we've done, this is the eRank extension. So this is something from eRank. You'll see, I think it says extensions on the homepage. You click on it, you'll be taken to Google where you can download this. It's absolutely free. And what you're going to do here is see your listings. Now, it's not perfect, but then you can scroll down and I can see, now you're going to say, but Pam, that's no good. The title's cut off. But if any of you didn't know, for the extension, you can click and drag it. So you can see the whole thing. So now if I'm making changes to this, I can actually see what my title was and I can compare it in real time. So I could look at this and go, okay, yeah, they've reduced the length of it, but I think saying the breed of the dog is important to that listing. I know I get a lot of views from people searching for actual breeds of dogs, so I can see that and add that in. So that was just a little something we've done. This is your eRank, your extension. You'll just see it as the little E here once you've downloaded it, and when you pop it open, you'll be able to see all your listings there. So
and one word of caution, if you open that back up, one word of caution for everyone, just open that share back up.
Yep.
Click on the X next to the listing, like under the side.
I know what you're saying there. Yeah.
Be very careful. When you hit save and continue, you have now officially changed all of your listings. They don't make that perfectly clear. It seems like that would be the next step, but it is actually saving all of the changes with that push of the button. Make sure that if there are some that you do want to change, make sure to uncheck the rest of them. That way they will not be part of that save. That is one thing that a few people have done, and that's it. Getting back to your original titles, especially if you have hundreds or thousands of listings, that can take a lot of work, comparing your sales in eRank in the listing audit to what the title was to what the title is, and going back and forth, and it can be a nightmare. So always be careful. Do not hit save and continue on that screen unless you are 100% sure that those titles you want to change.
Yeah, this was... thankfully, someone had mentioned they'd done it before I even looked in here, because when you see that's 10 of 47 that they're telling me about. So you think, how many of us read every page, everything on a page? We probably don't. You think that button's just going to take you to the next page.
Yeah, it says continue.
That would make sense. Yeah, but it's not. So be very careful there. Uncheck everything. Message Etsy if you've had a problem. We have at eRank, if you use the listing audit, if your listing has sold, you'll be able to see the title that your listing had the last time it sold. That's a way you can go back and have a look.
Or if you're using the track changes tool in eRank, you can also see the title as it was and the current title. You could see all the changes that you made to the listing.
Yep, but I mean, as I say, if there's anything we can help you with, let us know. The team are really trying here, but at the same time, it's quickly patching things together based on what we think from Etsy. So yeah,
Exactly.
we're
When
doing our
Etsy
best.
rolls things like this out, sometimes they're not perfect. Sometimes they don't necessarily think of all the little minutia like this, and not helpful. So we're here to help.
Exactly. But yeah, hopefully that's reassured some people. Sorry that it took so long to hear back, but if you've got that little warning there on some of your listings, which many of us have, you don't have to worry about it. It is
Yeah.
fine to ignore it. I know some people are really completionist. I see them twitching when I show up my dashboard ever, and you see that I've got hundreds of unread messages. um, but they're not unread. I've dealt with them, I promise. But some people like to have everything clean. But a warning, a note, or whatever else, feel free to ignore it if it's not relevant. That goes for eRank as well. If we've got warnings, if they're not relevant, ignore them.
It's
You
all
don't
about
have to.
suggestions and recommendations. Nothing is set in stone. There's no 100%. This is what will help your shop. Everything is just advice and that kind of thing. Even though with Etsy you cannot dismiss those notifications, especially in the app. Just eventually you'll start to ignore that they even exist.
Yeah, I think when you've got so many notifications, old notifications like me, you start to just be able to tune them out. It's just part of opening Etsy. So, but we understand how people have panicked, and this has been a difficult time. Etsy is trying to do things to make things quicker so that sellers don't have to think about things so much, which is a lovely idea. But
But
it's not there yet. Basically, you
the
still have
AI
to
does not have your product in its hands, in its digital hands. So it won't necessarily get the words right. So just hitting that save button or just blanketly saying, yeah, just do my listings, AI's got it. You want to kind of double check everything before doing so.
Yeah, that's it. I think people expect that AI is better than it is, and it is really cool, fun, and illegal in some cases. But it's problematic, but it's also fun. But don't assume that it knows better than you. You know your product's better than it. AI, this is the worst it's ever going to be. It's going to continue to get better, and perhaps one day it'll be able to do everything. But I know a lot of people feel, oh, well, if the AI said it, the AI must know better than us, therefore I have to accept it. It really doesn't know better than us. That was another thing that Etsy did say. I'm forgetting now. We did ask if the AI was taking into account your past listing performance, and it's not. It's looking at your title, your thumbnail, your description to get an idea of what your listing is, but it's not taking into account what keywords have worked for it in the past. Maybe if you've done experiments on it in the past. So, yeah, good to know.
Pull up that last one from Elena. She says, if we update them according to Etsy's recommendations, we won't have most of the keywords or tags in the title, since they suggest keeping titles shorter. Is that no longer important to SEO? It actually never has been. The title was just extra space to kind of throw words in, but you never wanted a word salad in there. You never wanted it to be confusing. Etsy has always recommended in the Etsy Seller Handbook to have short and concise titles. And that article is from about 10 years ago or something like that. Um,
2018 was when they first
okay,
started all
so
that.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
They've recommended short and concise titles.
Yeah.
Um,
But I will say, they have always said to have your superstar
yeah.
keywords in your title, just not
And in
all
your
your
description
keywords.
and in your tags. And the
Yeah.
reason for that is because the superstar keyword would be exactly what the item is. That's the most important thing about the item. The other tags, they're not, or the other keywords aren't as necessary in the title. If it's important for a user to know it, or for a shopper to know, it should be in your title. If it's not, if it's just kind of like other little tidbits that they can find out after, then it can go in your description or tags. Your tags are for the computer. Your title is for the humans. So you don't want your titles to be long and confusing, because once you confuse a customer, they might not be a customer, or they might buy something thinking it's something else, and then you're risking a negative review. So having all those important words in your tags is the important part for SEO. Having the most important words for what your item is in the title, that's what they're looking for, those short and concise titles. When you go to Tiffany & Co.'s website, you're not going to find a title that's all 140 characters, because that's not as elegant. It can add confusion, and it just doesn't look nice. And that's
that follows on from Hans's question. Short titles great for the Etsy algorithm, but not good for Google SEO. The opposite. Google has hated long titles for a very long time now. That Google hates keyword stuffing in any form. And as Bryan said, some of these great brands, you will see their titles are nice and short. Things like Shein and Temu, yes, they have massively keyword stuffed titles, but they have massive ad budgets.
That's what I was about to say. That's why they have to put so much money into ads, because they're not coming up in organic search, because most organic search ignores all of that extra fluff in there.
Yep. So, Amy, right. Oh man, I'm so bad at knowing superstar from long tail from broad. A superstar keyword is your most important keyword. It's the thing that you want to be found for. It's the thing, it describes your item, it's relevant for your item, and it's what customers are searching for when they're looking for your item. We mentioned this last week, I think, but certain things like the name that you've given a piece of artwork, or the process that you've gone about creating the item, customers aren't necessarily searching for that kind of thing. So if it's, a wire wrapped necklace, or, well, one that I bought was a lost wax method pendant. If I'm looking for a pendant, I don't know that I'm looking for that process. So as the maker, you might be, what is this? Well, it's a lost wax method pendant. I'm not saying that right, but I know what I mean. Whereas, so that's not a superstar keyword, because it describes your item, but it's not what customers understand about your item. It's not what they're searching for. So it could be like a silver and purple frog pendant. That might be what people are searching for.
Well,
Generally,
I have this next to me. So it's a tombstone and it's a cup. So the superstar keywords for this would be tombstone cup, because that's what perfectly describes what this item is. All the extra things, the fact that it's in marble, the fact that you can use it for toothbrushes or pens or for whatever, it's relevant, but it's not the superstar. It's not what the item is. The best thing to describe the item, that's your superstar keyword. It should be 2 or 3 words that best describe your item. It should be at the beginning of your title. It should be in your description, because your description is describing what your item is. And it should be in your tags, because that's the most important information about it. So that's what kind of creates a superstar keyword. A long tail keyword is just you're adding a little bit more fluff to that. So a long tail keyword for this would be a tombstone toothbrush cup, or a marbled tombstone cup, or something along those lines that kind of add a bit more description. And that's good for your tags. That doesn't necessarily need to be in your title. Your title should describe exactly what your item is, as concisely and as perfectly, and as the most understandable for someone just quick glancing it as they're scrolling through a page of other listings.
I will say, Bryan has a really massive shop, so he can he can get seen in much bigger searches. He can get seen in much bigger places. If you had discovered that all of your customers were searching for a tombstone toothbrush holder cup, then that's your superstar keyword. That's what it is. But and for us who are smaller shops, we can't necessarily rank for massive keywords. Then that would be what your title is, because when someone's searching, if they've searched for a toothbrush holder cup, they want to know that's what that is.
Exactly.
However, if you've got to the point where you've got a super, great shop, then perhaps a tombstone cup is exactly what they're searching for, and people can figure it
Exactly.
out.
And all of the other words can end up in the tag. So you still show up for those terms, but that's not necessarily as important as getting people to like know what they're buying, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, I have to pull this up. I haven't read everything else, but so would you agree that if I have listings with hundreds or thousands of sales, I shouldn't touch my titles? Absolutely.
Yep.
Especially if they're still working just now, if this is recent, if you have a listing from when did Etsy start? 2005 that sold 1,000 things in 2005 and hasn't sold since, absolutely change it. If
Recency
you
matters.
Yeah. If you have a listing that's been selling reasonably, I mean, I'm going to say this for anyone. If you have a listing that's been doing halfway any good, do not touch it just now, because we're coming up to the time when there's the most
Yeah.
buyers on Etsy. So this is the time to make new listings, to test different things. But if they're getting anywhere near any number of views or sales or anything, it's not the time to change them, because they might be being seen. People are just window shopping just now, basically. But
I have
yeah,
two listings from 8 years ago or 7 years ago when I started that still have the original titles, original photos, and I want to change them so bad because they bother me that they don't match the rest of the shop, but they sell at least a few times a week, and so I almost can't.
I've got a couple from 2010.
There
I
you go.
won't say they're selling millions, but they're selling enough that I don't need to touch them. And whenever I've made better listings, in my opinion, they've just not done well, because Etsy's like, yeah, we don't need that. This is good enough. The customers like this. I mean, my
If you make
camera was
changes, you
irritated.
could potentially improve the listing. You could potentially get more visibility, but you could also have the opposite effect. And so you kind of have to weigh the pros and cons of that, the risk versus reward.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, we're getting Hans is also asking, any combination that works, don't change anything. Yeah, if it's working, you don't need to change it.
Yep.
I would also say as well, don't freak out if things take a little dip just now. Etsy did they do these changes at this time of year, and they've always done these changes at this time of the year because it's a little bit quieter.
Yep.
But this can freak you out, because you're going to be saying, my shop's suddenly really quiet, and it's like, well, it's the end of the summer, people are just back to school, people have other important things that aren't quite Etsy just now.
And they're also starting to budget for the holiday season.
Yep. So things could have tanked just now. Equally, some shops are doing well. Customers are weird. You'll get funny bumps and funny drops. And it's not necessarily to do with these things that Etsy have done. This happens every single year, that this time of the year is funny. It's the point.
Most of the year, my sales are pretty steady. This time of year, and at the very beginning of the summer as well, are the two times of year when my stats look like a spike pit. It's just straight up and down, where one day will be horrendous, and then the next day will be like way up there beyond belief, and it kind of just goes back and forth. This is the very, very, very rough time of year where you don't know what's going to happen. And a lot of shops complain that sales are lower, and there's a lot of reasons for that. And so don't worry.
Yeah, and that's, Lauren, this is a question that everybody asks. Hopefully we're kind of in the middle of answering this. Since this came into our place, our sales have dropped off a cliff. Has something else changed as well as titles? Yeah, the world. People have gone back to school. People are saving their money for Christmas.
There's the worry of the tariffs. There's the worry of just everything else going on. There's so many reasons why sales generally drop at this time of year. And a lot of it is the fact that people are back to work. People are off of their summer vacation. Kids are off of their summer vacation, and everyone's back to work. Everyone's back to school, and shopping is just not a priority unless you're selling Halloween stuff, and then It's great.
buy all the Halloween stuff. But I was just thinking, as you were saying, your sales and views are like a spike pit. My shopping history this time of the year is like
Yeah.
that. I touch nothing and then suddenly I'm in and I buy everything for a couple of days and then nothing. So that's it's so common for people to say, "What did Etsy do?" And yeah, Etsy's done some missteps. I'm not going to say they haven't, but most times when sales fall off a cliff, it's customers. It's everything that's going on in the world, you know.
Which is one thing I like to look at of what have I purchased lately? Have I been purchasing more necessities, or have I been purchasing luxuries? Have I been shopping as much on Etsy? And generally that, like, they almost coincide when I'm buying versus when other people are buying, and when I stop buying and when other people stop buying.
Yeah.
Because I mean, for me it's like that, because that I am my target audience as far as my shop goes. So generally when I'm buying, everyone's buying. When I'm not, no one is. So if you really understand your target audience, you can almost figure that out based on just the advertising you see everywhere in the world, on Facebook, on social media, wherever. That'll tell you if your type of audience is currently buying or they're not.
Yeah. Now Lauren's covered the first thing I was going to say, is if you see a drop, you can always check your competitors and see. And she's saying her competitors are all trading well compared to ours and our previous 10 years. So this isn't your first rodeo. You've been here 10 years, so you know what's going on and you need to check your competitors. eRank has a tool for that if you're new. One thing I will say, not necessarily to Lauren, but to everybody else, when you're checking your competitors, make sure the competitors at a similar level to you. If I sit and I track someone with a massive shop in my niche, they're going to be getting more sales than me. They're going to be riding out the difficult times better, because when there's not many buyers there, Etsy shoves the buyers to them because they trust them more. What happens is, sort of, the bigger your shop, the sooner the holiday period starts, because you get the first round of customers. And then as your items sell out, or Etsy's shown your items to the same people a few times, then the smaller shops get shown a bit. So I've found that if I've had a good year, my holiday season starts sooner because Etsy's pushing me out sooner. It's just the way it is. So make sure you're comparing to similar competitors. And the unfortunate thing is, when you look and you see you've dropped and your competitors haven't, there could be a little bit of luck there in that they just caught a couple more sales than you, so they're getting pushed a little bit more than you, and it sort of compounds. They could have seen the writing on the wall here and maybe pushed their social media,
And thrown a
up.
lot of money into advertising. You never know.
Yeah. It's difficult to know. You can check in and snoop at your competitors, but the difficult thing is sales bring sales for multiple reasons. So if you start getting behind, you might be getting less sales just because you've been getting less sales, which is horrible and it's difficult to get out of. But if you've been around for 10 years, hopefully you have some repeat customers, you have some social media followers, maybe even a mailing list. You can kickstart things that way, because
We are
sometimes,
also getting into market season. And so remember that the numbers you see on Etsy are not necessarily the actual numbers that they've sold on Etsy. Because if they have their shop linked to Square, and so when they do markets, if someone makes a purchase in person, that would count as an Etsy sale as well. So you kind of want to take things with a grain of salt and check their social media. Don't just look at your competitors' numbers. Actually follow them. See what they're doing. What we used to do back, like when we first started, because we are our target audience, we also purchased from our competitors to see what they're making, how they're making it, how they're packaging it, how they're shipping it. Also, because we wanted the stuff, because we are our target audience. And so that's also sometimes a good thing to do, is to almost spy on your competitors by purchasing things. If you actually like what they're selling, and it's something that you don't make, buy it. And just to see how they're doing things and what they're including in their packaging, because they might be including extra coupons inside their package, which then gets them more sales. It could be just little things like that which are bringing them sales, especially as we get closer to the holiday season.
Yep. And I love that, like, you should be, it's the easiest way if you are your own target audience. And if you don't look at your competitors as the enemy, I've had some great friends in the same niche as me over the years, and people will message you and go, "Oh, congrats on your first 100 sales and things." You know, you can support each other. We don't have to climb to the top off the treading on the people below us. We can build your community. Definitely a
A
Halloween
lot of
community.
our best friends we actually met because we were competition, either at in-person markets or on Etsy, and one side or the other reached out and said, "Congratulations, we love your stuff, blah blah, like keep it going." And all of a sudden we made these friends that we've had for years now. And it's, yeah, you don't have to hate your competitors. They don't have to be enemies.
It's a slightly different thing, but I mentioned it in Starla's boot camp today. How I met Starla was the group I was in for building YouTube said, "Go off and find your competitors." And here was this wonderful woman with mad coloured hair sitting in front of a wall. I didn't copy any of this, but I was just like, that's who I would like to be. That's not fair. She's got the success I want. She looks awesome. She's cool. That's not fair. And yeah, I resisted for so long. I expected Starla would be horrible. I thought she would be a terrible person, and then she
She's
had me on.
amazing.
I know she really is. She is as kind and lovely as it comes across on camera. So yes, it was horrible. Not only has she got it all together, she is actually lovely as well. So, but yeah, that's how we met, because she was my competitor. I was stalking her, going, "How's she got all that and I haven't?" And it is just because she genuinely is amazing.
Yep.
Hans is asking, maybe not the time, but how do I find who bounces out of a shopping cart in Etsy? Google Analytics is high level and Etsy cart stars stats are useless. You can't. You can't track. Sad to say, but that kind of data, sort of, that Google Analytics doesn't give you that kind of data because it doesn't want you to be able to drill down and
An
track down an
individual
individual.
specific person.
Yeah. So that data is not going to be available. You can look at trends and things of big picture, and that's how you should be doing. I wouldn't focus too much on what's happening with your shopping carts, because people use them for different things. I don't save anything in my shopping cart. If I'm going to buy, I put it in my cart, I buy it. But other
I am
people,
not like that.
yeah,
I have maybe 60 things in my Etsy shopping cart right now.
yeah. So how are people bouncing out? It might be because they were making up their own little grouping of what they were thinking of buying, and they went into it and said, "Okay, not that one, and not that one." So it's a way to compare things and stuff. So
Some use
there's
it
no
as a wish list. Some
exactly.
use it as a shopping list for they know a birthday is coming up in a few months, so add it to the cart just in case. You might find something else, you might not. Some people use the wish list and the favorites like that. Other people do not. I am one of those people that do not.
Yep. So if someone's bouncing, it's Bryan. It's entirely his fault.
I have millions. Every single item that's in someone's cart right now on Etsy, that's me. It's in my cart.
Yep. So that's one of the things. A general question that we get asked all the time is, how do I do this tiny little minute thing? How do I worry about what's going into a cart? How do I worry about who's liked something? You don't. There is literally no point in stressing about the tiny details. We do want to be looking at the big picture. So you don't want to be looking at tens of views. You don't want to be looking at a couple of favorites. You want to be looking at as much data as you can. Worrying about the little things, no, it's just going to drive you mad, and it's a waste of time.
And you can use the offers to kind of get to those people. For people that do leave stuff in their cart, sometimes they're adding it to their cart just to see if there's a coupon. So using offers is a way to kind of capture those cart dwellers. But other than that, there's no real way other than really getting people to buy your item, really making them so appealing that they hit buy now instead of add to cart.
Yeah. And even if they're doing add to cart like Bryan and being an absolute pain, make sure that if
You're
someone
welcome.
is yeah, if someone is adding to cart 6 or 7 different tombstone mugs, which there might be loads on Etsy, you want to make sure that yours stands out and is the best, so they delete everybody else's.
Yep.
So that's the thing, to look at what the competitors' listings look like compared to yours. Do yours stand out? Are the photos cool? Are the descriptions and the titles good enough? Are you standing out? And standing out doesn't mean you have to be the cheapest.
Yeah.
That's not a way to stand out.
And again, you never know why someone adds something to cart. They could be like me. They could also be looking to see if your listing combines shipping. They could be looking at how taxes or tariffs or whatever are added. There could be a lot of reasons. So just thinking about those people doesn't really help. Also, if someone adds something to their cart and then removes it, Etsy doesn't remove it from that count that you see in your shop. They don't remove it right away, which means that it might have not been in their cart for 4 days, and you're still like, oh, it's 20 in people's carts, and then the next day there's only 10. It's not because 10 people deleted items or purchased items that day. It's just it doesn't refresh right away, which means that it might not be in as many people's carts currently as it claims. That's more of a sales tactic for customers to say, it's in so many carts, you want to buy it now before it sells out. So
Yeah.
that number's not really for us and isn't really accurate whatsoever. So don't even worry about people's carts.
Yeah. The only reason I not worry about them, but look at these numbers ever, and I don't look at them very often. I always have to think how to even see them.
Yeah.
But it's like a funnel. If you're not getting seen at all, then you're not going to get any favorites and you're not going to be getting add to carts. People have to find you. And then if they like your item, it's easy. It's no effort for them to drop a favorite on it. It's a little more effort for them to add it to a cart, and it's a little more effort for them to buy it. So if you're getting people sort of further down the funnel, it means your listings are at least showing up to some of the right people. And it's going to reach that tipping point when you get enough of them, somebody's going to buy. So that's the only reason, is you look at it and go, okay, I've not made any sales, but I've got a lot of extra add to cart, so maybe they're window shopping, and maybe in a couple of months, a couple of weeks or something, people will buy.
Exactly.
Oh,
And again,
Pippa.
especially as we get closer to holidays, you will see more things in people's carts as people are building lists and just shopping for the holidays.
Yep. Pippa, thank you so much. The competitor sales comparison tool is the greatest thing ever. I use it multiple times a week. I think that just reminded me, as I think we're going to be doing a webinar on that this month. I think that's what we agreed upon. Yeah. I hadn't mentioned, well, myself and Bryan spoke about it when we did the webinar last month, but then totally forgot. So there you go. Sneak peek, guys. We're very well organized and prepared for this. But I know
that is one of my most used to. That's the one thing that I do use on eRank daily. Like, even if I'm not working on my shop, even if I'm not doing anything, that is the tool that I do look at daily. So yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this webinar, because I just have to sit back and let Bryan talk. This is going to be so cool. Lauren, if you have your website on Square, does that help you rank higher on Etsy?
Nope.
No.
Those sales do not count towards, like, that doesn't give you that same sales boost that it does if the sale came from Etsy. But your sales numbers do go up, so you could look like a more active shop. It's just inflating those numbers, and Etsy takes their listing fee from the sale. But it doesn't actually help you on Etsy, other than just making it seem like your shop is bigger than it is. Or I mean, you are legitimately making those sales. It's just not on Etsy. You look bigger on Etsy than you actually are.
Yeah, it's the integration's really there as a tool to help you.
It's for
from the
inventory management, and that's why Etsy takes their cut, because it's just for the inventory management. When you sell something, if you only have one of an item and it sells in person, they don't want it on their system because someone might actually buy it online as well. I've had that happen. And so a lot of it is it's mainly for one of a kind or vintage sellers, but anyone can use it, especially if you do have limited quantities. It is recommended to use it. But it does not actually help you on Etsy.
Yeah. Amy, I love Starla. Even when I wasn't working on my Etsy shop, I watched her mark on Fridays. Yep, Starla's great. We are Starla fans here, definitely.
Oh, and Mark's fine too.
Oh, Mark's hilarious. I love Mark. Yeah. Hands. I like to use cart bounces to see who shops from where, which products, is price or shipping too high, but your point makes sense. I know sometimes it would be cool to see some of these details. If you were getting a high number, then there's potentially ways to look at them in Google, but only for a high number. But yeah.
On Shopify, I use that data for that exact purpose on Shopify. But there's a lot more data because it is technically your own website, even though you're on a different platform. It's your data, so you can do a lot more with it. You can see a lot more of it, versus on Etsy, you are very limited in what you can actually see. You're also limited in how you can contact customers or potential shoppers and that type of stuff. So you just don't have that information, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sadly, Etsy's going out their way to make things easier for us. By easier, they remove some of the abilities we might like.
Easy also usually means simplistic, and so everything is simplified. By removing their search analytics tool, they've simplified things and
Really
minimalized
annoyed
it,
me.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm still sore about that. It's been a while.
Yeah. I would say the change to on-site Etsy ads from promoted listings and search analytics, if I could get two things back, they would be the things. But it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Any more questions in there? I haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, Amy, I think, where do I see that count? I think that's the add to cart count. I saw it one day on my phone and haven't found it on my browser. I think you have
When
to
you
go
view
into
your shop from when you're not logged in and you go to like your shop main page, that's where you see it. You see it from a customer's perspective. You don't see it from a seller perspective. So it's only when you're actually viewing your shop. And you might not have to be logged out. I'm not sure. But you definitely need to be looking at your shop from the front end, not the back end.
Yep. Which is another thing that Etsy doesn't see this as stats that's helpful for you, because they don't give us the stats. So, yep.
You do not have to be logged out. You just have to be looking at your shop in a browser from the front end, from like what the buyers see, and then you see that information.
Yep. I'm just checking to see if we have any other questions, and I can't read and look intelligent at the same time. Oh, here we go, Kat. Yep. There are studies that show reasons for abandoned carts. The Baymard Institute and eRank does a buyer survey every year. We do indeed. We were just talking about that one of the days this week. I've lost track. I know it's Thursday today. We were just talking about we're planning for our next buyer survey. So yeah, if anyone that's missed it, eRank does every year. Just coming up to the holiday period, we do a survey of, well, we get answers from over 1,000 real Etsy buyers, and we ask them whole tons of questions about why they're shopping and how they feel about Etsy, and we ask them about other marketplaces as well. So we always get some really cool data in there. if someone wants to throw up the link to the 2024 survey, that would be cool. That's in the blog, but yeah, I love the data in that. I have great fun with it. Everyone's loving your shop now. Bryan, would you share what theme you use on Shopify? I like the look of it.
It is the refresh theme, but it's also heavily modified. My background is in computer engineering and web development, so it's completely modified, but its bare bones is the refresh theme, which is one of the free themes that Shopify offers.
Cool. I have not looked into Shopify. I'll have to. My last websites were on Wix. That's
Shopify is convenient, and you could just do anything you want. If you could imagine something, there's either an extension or you can like search Reddit threads and find the code to do it. There's always a way to do anything that you could think of on Shopify, and you're completely open to edit the code however you want, which is absolutely amazing. It also means that you can screw things up, so always back up before you make any changes. But it's very handy to have. You can really work on your branding versus on Etsy. You have very limited brand resources on your own website. Especially with Shopify, you can just really brand it how you and give the customer experience that you want them to have, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that sounds like the early days of MySpace where we were able to
Exactly.
get in and change things. I really enjoyed that. And then we moved to social media that was like dumb, like Etsy.
Just a template. That's all we have now is Facebook template.
Yeah, I know. Bye, Hans. Good to see you here. The Geek Authority, do posting to social media at the same time you post a new item for sale help, or should you wait a day or two?
Oh, it definitely helps. And I'm going to say it also helps if you are coming off of vacation mode. Post right away. Get people to that listing right away. Get people interested in it, because if people start purchasing that item right away, you already have that new listing boost, and then you also get the sale boost. And that's when Etsy is learning who wants to see the product on Etsy. So if you're pushing your social media traffic there, it's learning the audience for that product instead of just trying to rely on its own internal Etsy resources. So now it actually knows who to show it to in search, because personalization has become so important with search. So by pushing it right away on social media, you're actually helping that listing while it still has that new listing boost.
Yeah. Guys, we say it a lot, but I have to keep saying it. Do not fear driving your own traffic to your Etsy shop. It's a blooming great thing. You really should be doing it. I know you're going to say, but Pam, it's a waste of time. If I was able to drive enough traffic, shouldn't I have my own website?
I mean, Etsy's big, my website's big. I still push traffic to Etsy because Etsy's one of those sites where sales beget sales. The more sales you get, the more sales you will get. The more it's going to show it to other people. Your website doesn't necessarily do that. In my packaging, I do point people to my website, but all my social media points people to Etsy. People already trust Etsy. There's so many scam sites out there that you never know where, like, when you click on a link in social media, unless you know that shop, you're kind of like, oh, do I really trust them? Am I really going to get the product? Am I protected as a customer? People don't have that hesitation with Etsy. And so pushing people to Etsy is not a bad thing. Even if you do have your own website, you might pay a little bit more on Etsy because you have the Etsy fees, but it's kind of worth it sometimes.
It very much is. I mean, it's more cost effective than running ads or anything else.
Exactly.
And yeah, like Bryan says, sales beget sales. You're giving Etsy a lot of good signals. So the reason you are on Etsy is you want to be seen by Etsy shoppers. You want to be being found by people who are there to shop.
Yeah.
And the best way you can do that is by teaching Etsy that you are a good bet. You're a good shop. When you sell things, your customers are going to be happy. And to do that, you need sales. So this is another reason why you might look at some of your competitors and wonder why they're doing so well and you're not. They could well be driving a ton of traffic. So don't be afraid to do that.
Exactly.
And although Brian said, it is more expensive, but it's not. If you have a website that's not getting a ton of sales, just the cost of running your website
The monthly
really
fee,
adds up.
I think Shopify is like 40 US or something if you're paying just month to month. If you pay 3 years at a time, I think it's down to like $20 or $22 or something like that. But running a website is not cheap. All the traffic is traffic that you're bringing, which means your time and potentially ad dollars are going as well. So that's what the Etsy fees are covering. It's the built-in traffic. That's what you're paying for when you're paying the Etsy fees. The payment processing fees are the same no matter where you are, whether you're selling just on Facebook Marketplace and using PayPal, or you're on a website and you're using their built-in system, or you're on Etsy. It's usually that exact same amount for the payment processing fee. It's just the Etsy fees that are slightly different. And so sometimes it's just weighing which one is actually more cost effective.
Absolutely. Oh, sounds like Lauren has been messing up Shopify things before. Yeah, making changes and not backing up. I know I would do that. Absolutely. I'll stick to designing and making things that aren't websites. Yeah. That's why I've been so slow at building my own website. I keep looking and thinking I want to do it, and then thinking, do I really have the time to learn all
Fair.
of that, to put into all of that? Because I'm not Starla, so I can't do all the things all at once. So
Fair.
I know I personally, here we go. Here's me confessing, but I know I'm the kind of person that dives into something, does it religiously for a month, gets bored, and then 5 years later wonders where that went. So I know that's how I am, and with anything, you need to be consistent with it. So
Yeah.
websites are great, but we have to be honest what we can do. Amy, yeah, ADHD hyperfixations for the win. Yes. But just know yourself. Know what you're going to be able to do is a good way for running your business. Not that we're doing this kind of business advice, but
True.
I think we've covered just about every topic today.
For Earl, my website is Cursed by Design. On Etsy, the same. Social media, the exact same. I'm Cursed by Design. And yes, I send from social media, from my email list, from everywhere to Etsy, unless I'm running a website specific sale, and then I'll push people to the website. Otherwise, go to Etsy. That's where everything is.
Yeah. And bear in mind, guys, building up your social media with the intent that you're going to be driving them to Etsy, that doesn't mean you've lost that audience. Like if Brian's shop shuts down tomorrow, he still has his social media and his email list. He can push people now to his website if the worst happened. So it's a good thing to build all these and be funneling them to Etsy to build yourself up. It's much easier to build yourself up in one place and then spread out once you've got there. So yeah, building up all that audience, keeping hold of them somewhere, you're definitely it's still a good thing.
Exactly.
Cursed by design.
Lori had asked, what's the best social media platform? It depends on your audience. For my particular audience, Instagram is the best because my target audience has the tendency to doom scroll. And that's also where there's a lot of different Halloween or Gothic or whatever creators. And so that's my target audience. But it depends on who your target audience is. It could, if it's a bit older or something like that, it could be Facebook. If it skews a bit younger, it could be TikTok or Threads or something along those lines. So you kind of have to identify who your target audience is and then find out where they spend the most time online. And that's where you want to be.
Yeah, and a cool way to start, if, like Brian said, you are your own target market, where do you hang around with your friends? What social media do you enjoy? And how do you interact with the social media that you find? And then that gives you a starting place because it's much easier to hang around where you enjoy and you can build up from there. That's a great start. I know, Lauren, Cursed by Design is a fab name.
Thank you. It was between me and my partner. We basically just started talking, and that name popped out. Don't know how, and it's stuck, and it's been great. So since we only have 5 minutes left, I do want to kind of make a little mini checklist on the holidays since we are into September. Um, kind of cautionary tales, but also just like jump into things. Um, Now is the time to be buying your supplies. Supplies will run out. That could mean supplies for the products that you make. If you make things out of fabric or beads or anything like that, potentially they will run out. If you are shipping things, stock up on shipping stuff. Stock up on boxes, stock up on tape, stock up on shipping labels. A couple years ago, shipping labels, nobody had shipping labels. Stock up. Even if you have too many, you will end up using them. It's not like you have to use all of these things during the holidays. Stock up. I've had to do that scramble to find boxes, to run to Office Depot or something to find boxes because our supplier just didn't have the size that we needed anymore, or they weren't shipping in time, or whatever the situation is. Stock up. Trust me, it is very important to stock up on supplies. Shipping labels were another thing that, for some reason, a couple years ago, for like 3 months leading into the holidays, nobody had shipping labels for specific printers. So make sure that you stock up on that stuff too. It's all the stuff that you will be using anyways. And so spending a little more to make sure that you don't run out, it just relieves a lot of that headache, which could happen during that time. It is the worst. When you're stressing about tape, when you have orders coming in and your big stress is about tape, before you've even looked at the orders, it's not something that you want to deal with going into the holiday season. Another thing, nothing's been released yet, but keep an eye for October when USPS, Royal Mail, Canada Post, all the different services mention their shipping deadlines of when things will arrive by Christmas. And remember that you still need to make your product. If you haven't pre-made any products, you still have to have time to make it. If there's an influx in orders, you still need time to make it. So make sure that you give yourself enough time before that deadline. And remember that things do slow down, like shipping services do slow down during those times. And so add a couple extra days for that purpose as well.
This year shipping is going to be slow.
Yeah.
There's no denying it. Things are going to be slow.
There were certain countries last year that we need 2 years ago, and then it's going to happen this year again because Black Friday is on the 28th or somewhere late in the month. We are going to be closing down Australia and a bunch of other countries that take a bit longer to ship to before that holiday even happens. Do not fear that. It sucks that you might lose out on some customers, but it sucks even more if your items are not arriving on time, or they get stuck in the mail, or there's delays, or you have delays finding supplies. Account for everything and make sure that you give yourself enough time. It's better to lose a sale than for someone to receive something late. Some people are okay with receiving items late, but not everyone is, and that could lead to bad reviews, bad social media presence, bad everything. So give yourself enough time. It's very important. What's another thing? Make your shop holiday themed. Even if you aren't a holiday themed shop, add something to your banner to make it kind of holiday. Add something to your logo to make it a little bit more holiday, even if it's just temporary. It would just be temporary. Our banners during the holiday season turn very wintry and Christmassy and stuff like that, with still our aesthetic, still our spooky aesthetic. You're just kind of adding elements to kind of give that holiday vibe when people are shopping in your shop. Those are kind of my quick hits that and don't fear vacation mode. There was one year, it was 2020, when everything blew up on Etsy and sales went insane. We actually shut down our shop 2 weeks going into Black Friday because we just had that influx of orders. So we used vacation mode because we couldn't catch up. We opened up for that weekend and then we closed for another 2 weeks after. And it wasn't for vacation. It was just to slow down orders because it was insane. And we didn't want to disappoint anyone or have items not arrive in time. So sometimes it is better to use vacation mode or to raise your prices going into the holidays to kind of slow down orders, or increase your processing times. And remember, if you're increasing your processing times, worry about delivery times as well. So make sure that those jive where something will arrive in time.
Yeah. I honestly, the past 3 or 4 years, my shop has been closed down for in vacation mode for all of December.
Yep. Your
It's
items do take a long time to make. The needle felted, I don't know how you sit there and do that, and it's crazy. But it takes time for that kind of perfection. And it's taken a couple years for you to get to like understand how much time you actually need. And you want the Christmas break too.
Yeah, I had some really good years. 2019, 2020 were amazing for me, and that was 20-hour days right up to the shipping deadline, and then all December fending emails of going, where's my item, and it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
And then when I stopped that, when you shut down earlier and people go, can I buy, and you say, sorry, come back next year, most of them come back next year.
It's true.
I had a little while where people were coming in and say in August and going, can I buy for Christmas just now? Please, can I buy this year? I'm like, yep, you can.
So USPS has already posted the deadlines, apparently. Royal Mail prices are going up in October. And Earl India said, when would you recommend you load that and start advertising for the holiday? Every shop is going to be different. I generally start November 1st because I wouldn't want a Sully holiday, or I wouldn't want a Sully, oh my God, Halloween. Whoa. I wouldn't want to Sully Halloween with Christmas stuff, but that's just my particular shoppers. And so it's usually November 1st or the first week of November that I start making all those changes, advertising on social media, changing the images out, adding the deadline, adding an image to all my listings with the deadlines, just so that people are aware of any delays or when they need to order by, if they do for sure want it on time, or if they are okay with not necessarily getting it on time, or if it's just not going to make it. I make sure to have all three of those dates in there. Halloween is better than Goth Christmas. It's Halloween. And
Halloween's the best, but I'll just show you. When do people start searching for Christmas? They're already here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've had our Christmas items selling since June or July. That's when we started to see that surge slowly creep up.
Yeah.
Amy asks, Brian, do you have any printer failures anymore? I remember 10 years ago, printer failures at the local makerspace was like 90%. No. We upgraded all our printers they're all Bamboo Lab now. They used to be Ender 3s, and they were it was a nightmare. Now print failures are 1 in 50, 1 in 70. Does not happen often anymore. The technology has improved so much. It's great. Very helpful.
You're sitting creating how many things while we're chatting?
All the printers are going. The rat goes that way.
I know, I'm jealous. I need to get little machines that needle felt so I can just sit and let that happen.
I guess an embroidery machine can't do that. That would be
You do get needle felting machines. They're terrifying though.
Oh, those exist?
It's like a handheld. It's like a tattoo gun, basically. I'm scared of them.
I know what I'm going to be searching up for the next 2 hours. But thanks for joining us, everyone. Happy Halloween season. And join us in our Facebook group, facebook.com/EtsyRank. Join us every week on these lives. It's usually Starla and Pam, and then me and Anthony and Jess get mixed in wherever we're needed. And Don't forget to like,
Yeah.
subscribe, and do all of the things.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye, everyone.
See you next time.
It wasn't easy, no, but with eRank, we're trending now. I dreamed of topping all the charts. I wanted sales to blow up. Remember long nights crafting, no one clicking on my stuff, but I signed up for eRank.